is, and your comfort level in running Google Meets, and my favorite new learning from Connected Learning. And you can just put a phrase there. You don't have to worry about it, and then submit. If you have a question, put it in the chat or feel free to unmute and we'll try to address your question. So take a moment and do that, and that will be our attendance. Thanks for these housekeeping items. I'm going to give you about 1 more minute and then we're going to move on. Shannon, if you're, before you leave, you might remind me of this. If people come, well, they're not going to be able to come in late, are they?
No, they won't be able to come in.
So it's not a problem. All right. I'm going to move on in 30 seconds. If you were at one of my meets before, and I know some of you are repeats, you can kind of check your texts on your phone while I say this piece. Many of us are doing teacher clarity work in our buildings, and we have this quote from Doug Fisher and Nancy Fry on their teacher clarity playbook work. I think this is from module 2, and it's one of their slides, in fact. So the slide reads, every student deserves a great teacher, not by chance, but by design. This is one of my favorite quotes. I'm going to embroider it on a pillow and get a shirt with it. This is not by chance. You went to college for a lot of years. You went, maybe got your master's. You've done a lot of work. You've been teaching a while. That's not chance. That was conscious decisions you made to get you where you are at this moment. You are perfectly poised to meet these children and to challenge them and to do robust teaching now. You're perfectly in line and able to do that. So my first question for you is to think about what made you a great teacher before March 13th. What made you a great teacher before March 13th? If you could throw an answer in the chat, just a word or a phrase. Oh, Laura Hill said she just got in. All right. So could you throw a word or a phrase in that chat that says what made you a great teacher in the years before this moment?
We have student connections, relationships, strong relationships, ability to connect, rapport, sensitivity, differentiation, high expectation, structure.
Perfect. So keep them coming if you want. I love those. I saw high expectations. I enjoy what I teach. Oh my, that's good. And the kids know it, don't they? Hey, Kimberly B, you have your mic unmuted, and I see you like as a speaker on my, if you could mute your mic, that'd be great. Clear goals. Ooh, that's a teacher clarity person right there, right?
Strong schedule.
Right. High expectations and reinforcement and scaffolding, I'm sure. All right, so if you didn't get one in, that's okay. If you want to put it in, that's fine. Purposeful planning. Thanks for my coachy friend. So I want you to, during this presentation, to rethink that now. A lot of what you have said in that chat is talking about relationships, person to person. So amongst your peers and amongst your students. How are we going to do that now? I gave you my example of just meeting Shannon a few weeks ago, and we've built a relationship only online. So it can be done. How are we going to do it with our littles? How are we going to get those kids to come back? Because folks, it doesn't matter what your content is. If they are not going to log on that computer because you have a relationship with them, it does not matter. They'll play Minecraft all day long and their grandma's going to think that they're on doing schoolwork, right? So how are we going to do that? I challenge you. I know you've been thinking about it. It hit me when I was on my way to school this morning. And I thought, we've been doing all this work, all the PD trainings going well. There's some glitches, but they're going well. We get up every day. We're doing this hard work. And I just thought, and it hit me, what if kids don't come? And I almost started crying. So we're all having those moments. So we have to plan for the best. So before we talk about rituals, there is a link here to the distance learning playbook. Many of you have done this training, and it's great training. And I challenge you to click on that link and learn about taking care of yourself. You can access these materials on the general website for distance learning playbook. If you were trained, you have access to some other modules. I encourage you to get the book if you don't have it. It's really good. But this is so true. And you know this, when you're flying on a plane, what do they tell you? put your own oxygen mask on before you try to help somebody else. And we've certainly learned that this week. I know you've been getting a lot of calls from colleagues asking for help with something maybe you're an expert at, and you're calling other colleagues, and that's great, but make sure you get what you need first. And of course, I like this picture because it's a cup of tea, and I drink tea and not coffee. Let it be a would you rather question, right? All right, so our, oh, I did something wrong. I went over our learning expectations. All right, our success criteria, that's another big teacher clarity piece. So what will you be able to do? How will you know you're successful today? You're gonna, as far as preparing for your rituals, have you identified a place in your home or in your classroom, if you're gonna come into school, where you can teach and you've set up all of your stuff and you know that it works? If you haven't, you might wanna consider getting that in line. I can practice my routines and I'm gonna manage my schedule, and I know your schedule's changing if it's anything about what's going on here and how you're gonna get your kids from one place to another. These other ones are for your self-care. You need to have a conversation with someone in the world that maybe is not a teacher. And maybe that's your significant other, or maybe it's your sister, or maybe it's somebody else. Because there is a world outside of where we are today. And if your day is 12 or 14 hours like mine, you don't really remember that. Go take a walk around the block. Get out there and do something. How about your personal well-being? People I know have been sick because they have let that go. And we can't do that. You have to eat well, you have to get enough water and all those things. And this last thing, those have had trauma training and stuff, and we had it last year at both of my buildings, maybe the year before, when children's came in and said, what happens to the caregivers when we're faced with trauma, and how we get fatigued and how that affects us. So be aware of all those and be mindful of those in your own teacher preparation. Now, talking about rituals and routines, for remote learning, in the chat, I want you to think of a routine in your regular classroom. Try to keep it brief so we don't blow up the chat. What is a routine in your classroom? And I mean how to sharpen your pencil, or how to raise your hand, or how to get your bathroom pass. What are those routines about your classroom, not about content, that happen in your regular class? So let's see a couple in the chat. What do you got, Shannon?
I've got bathroom breaks, morning meeting, how to hand in work, saying good morning, raise hand before getting out of seat, packs, how to respond to questions, hand signals.
Okay, if you have put one in, that's great. If you want to hang on, that's great. We have enough of an idea of what we're talking about as routines. So using the chat as a routine. Now we're in grade 3, 4, 5, and in my opinion, you can teach children how to use the chat successfully and to not use it as a silliness. That has to be an expectation and a norm from day one. Because of the slide here, this is also from the Digital Learning Playbook. Unstated norms in the virtual classroom will evolve for better or worse, just like they do in face-to-face rooms. And we know that. If you don't address how to sharpen your pencil, you're going to have 32 kids in line for the entire period, right? So those are the things we're going to talk about today. You need to identify the expectations for synchronous. Is that a new word for y'all? For us gifted folks, it's not, but synchronous means happening at the same time. So when we have our students on a meet with us, oops, someone wants to join the meeting. I'll be nice and try to let them in. I'm going to multitask. When we talk about synchronous learning, we're talking about that time when you're on the meet. This presentation is available for a large audience. Okay, whatever. You have to teach them about how they're going to learn. You have to teach them these formats before you do any content. And I think that's obvious, but many of us may not have thought about that yet. So I'm trying to model some good activities or good practices that you could do with students. And one of them is providing them with digital graphic organizers. So I am on slide number 10. If you could just take a breath, and maybe we don't all do it at once. So maybe third grade teachers could click on this first and open that up. and it's going to force you to make your own copy. And if you could go ahead and put your name on it, and we could see some thumbs up if you are successful. If it's not working, would someone unmute and tell me if there's too many people hitting it at once? Seems to be working.
Can't open it. I
Not
cannot
working.
open it.
Cannot open it.
No.
Okay, so
can't.
couple people got in, so only third grade teachers at the moment. So I see Tammy and Kathy got in. It should force you to make a copy. So if you click there again, or click away, maybe go back to your drive and then come back to this presentation. Melissa's in. Anyway, if you can't get in, you can use, like I said the other day, you can use 20th century technology and take notes here. Fourth grade folks, you want to try? Looks like some people are getting it. I didn't add in time for the extra big room, Greg. You might want to consider that in your meet too. Do you have more people in your first meeting?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right, fifth graders, go ahead and give it a try. If you're struggling, you might want to take a moment and wait about 3 minutes and try it again if you want it. The only point about this is I'm trying to model what you can do for your kids. And if you have a class of 20 kids, you can either put it in the chat or you can find another way, maybe in their Google Classroom, but give them a digital graphic organizer to get them in the habit of taking notes for some assignment that they might have. You can put it as an assignment in your Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you this. I'd rather you not click on it at this moment. So everybody chillax. If you come back to the slideshow and you come back to the meet, you can see this. So everybody just relax. This is in the APS Connected Learning website, I believe. Have you seen it there, Shannon?
I haven't looked recently, if I'm
okay. It wasn't there initially because I think they were saving it for the big reveal. Today is the reveal part, right? So Shannon did a lot of the legwork as far as setting up the templates and so forth, and then she and I worked together to put this in. We were tasked with creating teaching lessons for you all for remote learning. And Shannon and I said, we were pretty sure that the people on this call did not want to read 30 lessons that said the student will be able to raise their hand in a Google Meet, right? So we came up with another kind of way to show you this. So if you could stay with me and not click on this yet, I'm going to talk for about 8 more minutes, and then you're going to have about, let's see, what's my time, 9:23. You'll have about 15 or 20 minutes to look at this on your own, okay? So stay with me. When you click on the remote learning routines, you'll see this graphic. We based this on the benchmark literacy graphic for rituals and routines. And we thought, why reinvent the wheel? So I have, if you're one of those people that likes the student will, here it is right at the top. So this explains how to use this chart. Please don't skip this part. Routines are critical to establishing from your first virtual meetings that you have with your students, so that teaching and learning can proceed in a productive manner. I'm not going to read the whole thing from here on out, but this is another link back to the chart. So this is kind of a circular link. I'm going to go down to the second paragraph. Similar to the ELA routines and rituals, this guide is set up by days of instruction. Now, that is not set in stone. I told people the other day, this is like Pirates of the Caribbean. These are guidelines. It's not rules. So you decide how you want to use this. I see Bev Miller is not following the rules because she's over here on this already. It's okay, Bev. So we set these rituals and routines up in checklists. And here's how you would use these checklists. The success criteria and the learning intention is basically the same. You'll know they're successful when they can do everything on the checklist. How will you teach it? Here, someone wants in. Sam Cruz, seriously? All right. How is Sam Cruz outside of Akron Public Schools? All right, let me go back. Can you see it? Okay, there we go. Here's how I would teach it. I would model it. I do it. Students would restate it and talk about it. Then students would practice with me together. Then the students would share out any problems or concerns they're having. And then review the repeated practice and practice it on subsequent days. That's the them doing it, or the you do. I do, we do, you do, just the lesson planning that you would do with any content. But these are the routines, and we have to be intentional about practicing these. The order and frequency of these suggestions for delivery of information will vary. As I said, they're suggestions, and you may have things of your own that you need to put in for your learning. Now I'm going to go back to the chart, and you'll notice that on day 1 and day 2, it says before meet expectations. So those are the same. So if you've clicked on one and you think your students have met all those things, then you can kind of let it go. Here's a checklist for good listening habits. Here's a checklist for meet expectations. And you'll see that we have them on multiple days. So you're going to get to explore this in a few minutes and see how it works. But the idea is that, for example, good listening habits is the one I have recorded a lesson on, that you need to kind of go over and teach all this stuff. And you can make your own copy of this and add or subtract. You could use it, print it out and use it as a checkoff. That's what I did, is I print these out and then I would check them off when the kids did it. Do they know to look at the speaker and leave their camera on? Do they know to visualize what is being said and what that looks like? They need to practice that. Do they know how to wait their turn by muting their microphone and unmuting their microphone? Maybe there's a time when they're all unmuted. Do they ask questions for clarity? And so forth. So every one of those has a checklist with it that you can use, print out if you want to, or you might say, my kids have good listening habits. I'm going to move on. There is no perfection to these days. We just tried to leave it in an orderly manner, okay? This participation in transitions is on this guideline sheet right here. So that's why there's no blue line under there. And then you'll notice in the next week, the next 5 days, it's mostly about Google Classroom. This is not an exhaustive list. In fact, Teaching and Learning asked us, to think about what would come after this. And I said, I don't know what would come after this because it depends on the teacher. And you may be stuck in this first cycle for 2 weeks. It depends, especially in 3rd grade. You're going to have to go over these expectations almost every day about how to be a good learner online. The next thing I want to show you is this. Now, I know that there are tons and tons and tons of resources out there. In fact, so much you just say, I'm going to bed. I can't handle it anymore. There's just too much. So I have linked here what Shannon and I consider is the top resources for learning. And Shannon, are you leaving us?
Not yet, but we do have a question that was asking about expectations for students to turn on cameras. And I can speak personally for our building. I know that will not be a requirement because I teach at Finley. So we have students with different cultures and things that they would maybe wear or not wear at home would make other people feel uncomfortable. So I believe that's either a building discretion. I don't think we've gotten guidance as far as the district saying it's mandatory, because it's not. We're going into their environment. They may be self-conscious, of what's around them. So there is no guidance as far as camera expectations.
And you have to feel that out with your students, because here at Ritzman, when we were working in the spring, I had a lot of students that would just disconnect and want to turn off. So you have to balance what Shannon was saying with the family and culture versus when kids want to become disengaged. So it's a tough one. It really, really is. But I wouldn't want anyone to get in trouble by saying, my kid's not having his face on because of privacy. We have to respect that, and I understand that. Thank you, Shannon, for that. Is there any other question that needs to be addressed at the moment?
No, not at this time.
Right. Yeah, and I like what Janet Mitchell said. I will request it, but not require it. And that's what our stance has to be on a lot of things, right? When they're in your physical classroom, there are expectations that you can almost demand, right, as part of the code of conduct, but we're not in that situation now. So just keep stressing to be the best learners you can be. Anyway, back to top resources. Shannon and I did not want to inundate you with resources because there's so many out there, but I wanted to provide you with ones that were professional, okay? And there's plenty of learning that can be done. It's almost like the difference between Wikipedia and Encarta. Wikipedia is a great place to start, right? But Wikipedia, Encarta would be, people with letters after their name did it, right? So these links are the ones that I feel, after being in the game of digital education for a while, which could be trusted. So there's our APS teacher toolkit, and I keep referring people to this. Every Google Suite application you need to know to be successful with the start is on there. Also, I love these. These are a little longer. The ones on here, the videos on here are a little shorter, but if you want to get more into it, or you feel like, hey, I don't even know if I know what I need to know, the Ohio Ed Tech videos are tremendous, and they're all newer. Most of them are had been done in the spring. And there's even more than this on there. Control Alt Achieve. So my friend Bev Miller told me that Eric Kurtz, who I'm a super fan, he has printed a book based on his blog and his website. So I'm super excited. Mine's coming on the 15th. And so I have his information, though, from his website. He's got every app here on the right side. Click on one and you can learn about it. This Google Teacher cheat sheet that many people saw on the Facebook Live, I included it here. But I'm going to tell you, when I went in there, some of those links were not good. Some of them were excellent, as was told to me, but some of them didn't even take you to where it said it was going to. So be mindful of this sheet. If you're not finding what you want, then use some of these other ones up here. And this John Sowash, if you haven't seen any of his stuff on his channel, it is also very good. He's a Google certified educator. This hybrid teacher, Shannon and I found this when we were doing it. This is excellent routines on there. And this was just different ideas. She's a little bit more fun. So she's got some good ideas, pocket full of primary. So that is included on this sheet. This was the students' virtual lessons that Shannon and I did as kind of our brain dump and how we got to where this document is. So there's some resources on there as well. But I want to show you this because I thought it was super cool from the hybrid teacher. This is the flow of a lesson. Community question or SEL question, check in, say how you doing. I usually keep kids unmuted at that time, have a little mindful moment, and then go into the review of your expectations. That's when we mute microphones maybe. Then we'd have some direct instruction and student practice and sharing and a wrap up. I'm not sure that we have enough time for that amount of time for practice, but you might direct them to their Google Classroom where their assignments are. So all of that is located on this document, and I've talked a little bit longer than I wanted to. Shannon, are you out?
I am ready to leave. Yes, I have to get going.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, so let me show you this next slide. I'm going to back up. I'm going to give you about 12 minutes right now. So let me stop sharing. If there's somebody who cannot access the presentation, I need to know by putting it in the chat. I'm going to give you about 12 minutes, and what I want you to do is use your graphic organizer from this page on slide number 10, or just paper. And I want you to go in here, and I want you to look for the crosswalk between your routines. And if you see that graphic organizer, it asks you to look at your routines that you had in your hard copy classroom and compare those to what you're going to do in your virtual classroom. So if you just take about 10 or 12 minutes, and then I want to show you a short video of how you might implement using these checklists in your classroom. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I'm starting my timer now. And once again, let me make my learning intention clear. You're going to use this graphic organizer or a piece of paper, click on slide 11 and go through the document, check it all out, see if it's helpful to you, what you could use, jot that in your graphic organizer and be ready to share out in about 10 minutes now because I've talked too much. All right, go. So Jean, could you explain to me what you mean? Is Jean on here? So, and Madeline, I would suggest the reason you need to do request editing access is because I put it for APS teachers. So if you're on another device under a different email address, because I know I have my own personal device and sometimes that happens. Okay, hi Jean.
Hi, I was just having trouble getting to the place where you can access the document you were talking about.
Okay, I'm not sure it's on the Connected Learning website yet. Do you need me to reshare the link for the for this presentation because it's on here?
Okay.
I'll reshare the link for the presentation in the chat right now.
Okay,
And it's
thank
on
you.
slide 11, I think, okay?
Okay, thanks. Here's the link.
Oh, right, Rebecca, good point. Yeah, you're not editing the one on slide 11, please. Please don't edit that. That's the one that's going to be posted in the APS Connected Learning. The only thing you're going to edit is the one on slide, is it 9 or 10? The force a copy document, you're going to make your own copy and it's on slide 10. But the one on slide, let me just make it clear, slide 11, you're not making a copy. I mean, you can make your own copy all day long and edit it if you want, but that's for the website. So that's going to hopefully stay nice, guys.
And we can also, I went in right to the Hoover app
Yes.
where the presentation is. If you scroll down, the routines, rituals, the slideshow's already there. So what I did, I just downloaded it and made a copy. So I'm actually looking at that. My Chromebook, for some reason, doesn't work for Google Meet, so I have to take that in today. So I'm on my personal, my HP, which is great for Google Meets, but I'm using my Chromebook. So I'm looking at your slides like that. But it is in the Hoover app, and the slides are there. So
Thank
I don't
you.
know if Shannon did that, but.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I did that last night.
Oh, okay, so that's great. So I just made a copy, and
Right.
then we can work with it.
Yeah, and most of the presenters should be doing that, is loading their materials in there, but I know sometimes it's easier just to grab it from here, but thanks, Diane. Beth just alerted me there is a document on the one of those things that I'm going to go in and do access, but I don't think anybody, I knew my friend would get down there and show me, but hopefully you're not there yet. So I'm going to go fix that. And you have about 2 more minutes, maybe. Let me see, 3. Let me see where we are. Thanks, Beth. 3 minutes. So let's see if I can do it in 3 minutes. All right. Okay, so Beth, part of the problem is I think that link was a view only from the internet, and it might be copyright protected. So I'll have to see if I can download it and upload it as my own Google Docs. So that's going to take a little longer. So the one for the hybrid teacher, I'm going to write this. You guys can't get in that right now. So I'm going to work on that one, hybrid teacher. Anybody else have links that they can't get in if they're on an APS device? Let me know. APS connected learning is not connected to your slide. That's right. So Tammy, it's not uploaded yet to the site. So you're just looking at, you're getting the preview of what they're going to put on there for routines and rituals, okay? If that makes sense. Yes, totally true, Rebecca. Invest in that and it will help you through the next 2 weeks for sure. About 1 more minute. while we're zeroing in on about 1 more minute, if you could pop something in the chat a question for me if you think something needs to be fixed or something you think might be helpful to you. I think you guys appreciate the checklist format rather than just me making a whole bunch of the student will lessons, you know. So pop something in the chat, and we're actually going to have a Padlet share out. We'll see if we can blow up Padlet. Will you able to get me the distance?
Janet, will parents see this?
Not really. Not to my knowledge. This is going to be on the teacher site. I don't think they can get on there, can they? Does anybody know?
No, but it's something that you could always post in your Google Classroom or something if you like specific rules.
Right. So I think that would be good, Kathy. Like one of those checklists might be important to you for like Google Classroom, right? When you're trying to show the parents what kids need to know. I don't think I'd post all of them, you know, pick out what you might need. Okay, that's our time. Oops, stop. Stop. Okay, so let me go back. I'm not presenting. I'm gonna do, let's see, what's my time? About 45. Let me go back to the presentation. Finley bought the playbook and they're waiting for delivery. So check with your administrator if they have any money to buy that playbook for everybody. It would be a good SIP decision if you have any money. But if you're like Ritzman, we don't have any money. So Bev, I'm trying to get it for you, but I'm not hopeful. So we're gonna go back to the slideshow. So if you could, Beth, you're my new co-pilot, all right?
Oh, yeah, good.
Can you see?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to move on just so that we get everything in. I want to get you out at least 5 or 10 minutes ahead. So here's the checklist I was talking about. This is the one I'm going to use. And my little video is just about 6 or 7 minutes long. I'm going to show it to you. And I'm probably going to stop it before the end. All right, just so you can kind of get the feeling. I do have to exit and I have to stop sharing and share my Chrome tab instead. Stop presenting. And I will remember to turn off my volume. And Beth, will you tell me if you can, oops, cancel. I did it again. Share a Chrome tab. And I want this one. Okay, I'm gonna share that. Can you see it, Beth?
It's coming.
Okay, so I gotta go back here and mute my microphone.
Hello, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me today on our meet. And we're going to talk about today some of the routines that we have been talking about yesterday, good listening habits. Does anyone remember what we said was a good listening habit that students would need to have to be successful on their Google Meet, which is a habit that you might have the same as if you were in a regular classroom? Sam, thank you for raising your hand, and like we had talked about yesterday, visually raising your hand. Could you please unmute and tell me what your answer is? Yes, thank you for sharing, Sam. Look at the speaker. And that is the first thing we have on our chart here that we talked about yesterday. Look at the speaker when the speaker is talking. That is one of those good habits that we practiced when we were together last year before we had to go to virtual instruction, that when the speaker is speaking, and the teacher or another student is sharing, that we look at the speaker, and we might nod our head and we might lean in a little bit to show that we are interested in what the speaker has to say. And that's our number one. I'm going to model that. Sam, if you could stay unmuted, and could you tell us a little bit about your morning this morning? And I'm going to model for you my looking at the speaker. Thank you, Sam. All right, Sam, thank you for sharing. So I was looking at the speaker, nodding my head, leaning in a little bit. We can still do that on our virtual instruction, and that's how I'll know you're listening, by your habits and the way your camera is on and you're becoming engaged in what's happening. The second thing we have on our list that we talked a little bit about yesterday was visualize what is being
Okay, so I think you get the idea. Can you hear me now again?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. So you can certainly watch that Oscar-winning performance if you need that. But what I tried to do was kind of overemphasize the modeling, the I do, having the students restate it, practicing the we do, share out, and so forth. So those lesson checklists, you would use this same kind of teaching routine to do all of those things. And again, you might not have to do all of them, depending on your students. You can glance over some of the things, but maybe need to spend more time practicing others. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that this is going to work. I'm going to call you by grade level, and I want you to add something to this Padlet. I know some people said it was jacking around yesterday, so it might not work. Some people couldn't get in. So if you click on it in grade 3 right now, if you are a grade 3 teacher, could you click on it and add something to the question? So the question is, and what slide was that on, Beth? Did you see?
Let's.
14.
No, thank you. 14.
Slide 14, thanks. So Kathy Davis is the first one in. Hilarious. So you're just going to click on there and go to this little add button down here and try to type something. And the question is, let me go back to the slideshow so I can get the question. I gotta exit. The question is, what focus area from remote routines document will be a priority for you and your class? So grade 3 is adding, what is your focus area? So I see a lot of names, but you gotta write something on there. So go to edit and write something that you found in that document that you're gonna use, one of those checklists. So we're grade 3 right now, and I see some people going back in. If you don't want to participate in the Padlet, it's okay, because we have a lot of folks on here. If you're in grade 4, go ahead and hop on if you want to add a little Padlet note and something on there you're going to do. So if you have a blank Padlet note, go back in where your name is and go to edit. It's on those little 3 dots and see if you can add something. And I know we have some intervention folks on here that I didn't call before, so I apologize. If grade 5 could go ahead and hop on, if you want to add something to the Padlet. And then in about 1 minute, I'll call the remaining folks. So if you don't know Padlet, it is a lot easier to use nowadays than it used to be. You only get 6 free ones, but somebody told me the district was gonna purchase it. So I'm gonna have to investigate that to see if we got an upgrade, because I have to keep clearing mine off and reusing them. So if you are an intervention person or a support person, please feel free to log on now to the Padlet and add something. And I appreciate your kind attention. I love all your little things, the transitions, the Google stuff, scheduling your meets, so on. And as my friend pointed out earlier, this is located on the Whova app, the slideshow, if you want to access this stuff. And to answer a question that might come up, I don't know when this is going to be put on the Connected Learning, but I will ask that question. So thank you. If anybody wants to unmute and ask a question. Oh, Karen Hazlett says we got a Padlet upgrade yesterday. Log out. Let me see. I got to go back to that. Log out. Karen, is that for the whole district, do you think, or just for Miller?
It is the whole district.
All right, explain it to us.
So I took the Padlet course yesterday, and he told us to log out and log back in, and I have unlimited Padlets.
So
Yeah.
this is you. When you say a log out, you mean of the site?
Of the site, and then you log back in, and it has to be through APS though. It can't
Yes.
be like a
Another email.
Yeah, it can't be another email. It has to be through APS.
And you didn't have to like do the upgrade button or anything. It just automatically.
I did nothing. It automatically upgraded. It is great. I won't have to delete them anymore. That's the best thing.
I am so excited.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
I've got all these little bells and whistles.
Hey,
Yeah.
Karen, can you unmute your camera? Because I want people to see different people. Because sometimes I get her email. And I have Karen's my sister-in-law. That's why we have the same last name. We married brothers. But I have an actual blood sister whose name is Karen. So I'm used to being called Karen a lot for so many reasons. But I want you to see she's a different person.
Yeah, I'm a different person. Yes. You're great,
Okay.
Janet. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments or concerns?
My comment is Karen Hazlett is definitely different. You got that.
We do have similarities, however. We talk fast and loud.
That is true, but it's okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else, email me. If you have my text, feel free. And we'll help you through it. Again, reach out to people who have done this online, the GIS people you have, or maybe other people that have experience doing it in the spring that were successful. We can do it. All right, thank you guys. Have a great day. Get a cup of coffee. Ta.
Bye, Janet. Bye, Karen.
Hi, Ione. Were you on?
Yeah, I've been listening. I love this.
Did you learn anything?
You're the best presenter ever.
Absolutely.
Right, staff?
Right?
I'll twist their arms.
I had so much more in there that was more interactive, but I had to take it out because it was just.
Yep. I understand that well. All right. Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say thank you, Miss Hazlett.
Hey, Monica Render, how you doing?
I'm good.
Where are you located?
Are you
Pfeiffer. When? What's your role this year?
5th grade, math, social studies, and science.
Congratulations, girlfriend.
So
you just
happy.
text me if you need something or email. Tatiro's clapping for you.
Oh, hey, Mr. Tiro. Thank you, guys. We'll be in touch.
Congratulations. All right, Ta.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Tatiro, do you like the checklist? I can't hear you, honey.
Love them.
I thought you would. Yay.
Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day.
See ya.
Don't forget to log out, folks. It's still showing you as here. I gotta stop recording.